Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we discuss day-to-day problems people face in their lives. Let's start with the video. Some context. My mother, 43 female, and me, 19 male, had been living in an apartment owned by my father's parents. My father, 45 male, and mother had gone through a divorce 12 years prior, due to my mother cheating on him, which she explains due to his abusive nature, to which I agree. Court had decided that my mother got full custody of me and no assets, and my father had to pay child support. Throughout the years, me and my father have never really bonded well. He would always bring up my mother in conversations, insulting her, calling her very bad names, saying we're parasites. My mother, on the other hand, has no ill feelings. He can't seem to move on from the divorce and sees me as a bad reminder of my mother. He had married again and had a child, my half-sister. The way he's treated me has been horrible compared to the way he pampers her. For example, he would never come to see me at my events, my graduation, my birthdays, insulted my mother in my birthday message from him. For the past couple of years, we'd been living in the mentioned apartment provided by my grandparents with the promise that the apartment will be handed to us when I become 18. But in turn, my father won't be paying child support. As such, we sunk a lot of money into the apartment thinking it will eventually be ours. Well, a couple of months ago, we were greeted with the fact that we'll have to leave the apartment with no given reason despite me begging them for one. My grandparents and father told me that they will let me stay in a single-room apartment while I study in university, but my mother, who was looking for a new job, will have to pay for my expenses. I also had to accept on the same day the offer was made and was given no explanation of what the apartment looked like. Asking for photographs was frowned upon, with them telling me I'm insulting them for not trusting them. I refused the offer they made. We moved out and I decided to sue my father for money he didn't pay, effectively ending the relationship between us. My mother said she would be supportive of me either way and had not influenced my decision. Am I the a-hole or did I behave like a spoiled child? Thanks for all the replies. I see a lot of comments regarding the case I have made in court, and there's a misunderstanding I need to clear up. I've only requested the unpaid child support money and I won the case. I haven't had any preferences towards the apartment. Not the a-hole. They basically tricked you and your mother into increasing the value of the apartment for X years and then kicked you out. You're probably not legally entitled to the apartment if nothing was put in writing, but not the a-hole for being mad and trying to go after the value legally. But you've got to get this stuff in writing, dude. Never ever just go off the promise of anyone when it comes to housing, child support, or anything else financial. If there wasn't a contract saying that the apartment would be yours, then this is unlikely to turn out in your favor. What does your lawyer think? When the agreement went down, I was a gullible 12-year-old kid who had no understanding of the law and how agreements go. The court case has been closed. I sued for unpaid child support, not the apartment. To that, I have no entitlement, not by law at least. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your father and even your grandparents want to really hurt your mother and you're getting caught in the crossfire. They sound like horrible, bitter people, especially since your father has moved on. Get over it. Good luck to you. I hope you at least get the amount of money that was used to upgrade the apartment. Sending love. Also, a lot of men seem to think that because they managed to escape paying court-ordered child support, that once the child is 18, they don't owe anything. Shaking my head. That is not the case. That's when they can be sued for back child support. The child can be 25 and the other parent can get up and sue for back support and it will have to be paid. Not the a-hole for extremely obvious reasons. I went through similar attempted alienation from my father. He used child support as a weapon. He would quit jobs when the department caught up with him. In Australia, that's pretty common, unfortunately. Send through a lump sum of about 1/4 of what was owed every few years, so my mother would lose her benefits and support and constantly rag her to me at every opportunity. I know how that can mess with you growing up, and I just wanted to say that I'm so impressed by your integrity and how you've stood by your mom through this. It's hard when you're growing up, but fathers like that aren't real fathers. Next story. My husband, male 32, and I, female 33, have been together for a total of 4 years. He's dealt with depression and anxiety since 2019. He completely shut down, quit his job, sold his car, emptied his savings, and stopped seeing his friends and family, and started spending his day doing nothing. Not a thing, none. It took months before realizing he was dealing with a mental health issue, and I've arranged for him to see a therapist. He was against it at first, but then agreed to give it a try. He got better and his quality of life improved. He regained his quality of life. He started going out and became sociable. He bought a new car and did a 100-degree makeover from hair, clothes, and working out, and even adopted 2 dogs. It was miraculous, and I was happy that he got his life back, except that he still doesn't work. Not only that, but he used my money to get this transformation done. When I tried to talk to him about finding a job, since he's now doing well, he tried to put the idea off and say he needs more therapy to be ready to start committing to a job and start working. This went on for months, and he jumped from therapist to therapist and said that he is not ready to look for a job yet, goes out with his friends, eats out, buys new gadgets, and now a screen to watch his favorite show. Last night, we had a huge argument after I found out he bought a $200 wristwatch for himself using my credit card. I couldn't handle it, and I shouted at him that it was time for him to find a job. He tried to use the "I'm not still ready for this kind of commitment yet," but I blocked his attempt and told him I'd stop paying for everything, including his therapy. He got mad and replied that threatening to stop paying for everything, even his therapy, will set him back and we both won't get where we want to be. But I told him he was a hypocrite for saying he's not ready to look for a job since he's living completely normal, and may I see a lavish life? He called me unbelievable and walked out. He called his mom telling her I was losing it, and she got in the middle of telling me off about what I said and told me to have some sympathy for him as he's still struggling to regain his strength, but I told her to stay out of it, which caused more rage from my in-laws. They're arranging for a meeting with me, but I don't plan on going, which might make matters worse. I just think at this point he's milking it. Am I the a-hole for my stance? What is worse is that now I'm the bad guy in my in-laws' eyes. They accused me of trying to hold his progress back when I said I won't pay for therapy anymore and financially keep controlling him, and claimed that I'm preventing him from getting better. Not the a-hole. He's using you. I have mental health problems. Oh, do I? So I'm not unsympathetic, but no. Put your own oxygen mask first. Your own mental health does not need to suffer in order to help pamper enable your husband. You've signed up for a partner, not a child, and it is so wrong for an adult to get their parents involved in their marital issues. I would go to this meeting and tell your husband and in-laws he can move back home with his parents if he doesn't want to be a responsible adult. My guess is his parents don't want him back, and that is why they're trying to get you to continue being his mother. Not the a-hole. Honestly, you need to make sure this man doesn't have access to any of your finances. While he may have done a 180, he is probably just spiraling still. He's getting his serotonin hit by accumulating stuff, and via spending money. This won't stop. It will get worse until he actually deals with his issues. Honestly, if his mother wants him, pack his bags and send him back to her. Pretty sure when he hits her credit cards for hundreds, she'll change her mind. Not the a-hole. Oh, hells no. If he wants to support his new lifestyle, he needs to pay for it himself. You're not a bank or his personal ATM. If his mom wants sympathy, she can pay for things herself. Personally, I would make him return the watch. I would cut off all his credit card, debit cards, since I'm sure you're the one paying for them, and tell him he has 3 months to get a job or he can move back in with his mom. I would also remind him that since you bought all the things, it means that they're yours and you will keep them when he leaves. The nerve of some people. There you are, trying to help him, and there he is taking super advantage of you. I'm surprised you have put up with him this long. Next story. My ex-husband is remarried to a very nice woman, Vanessa. They've been together for 8 years. While my ex-husband and I have 3 kids together, 12 male, 14 female, and 17 male, Vanessa isn't able to have any biologically. She's been an amazing stepmom to my kids, and I feel safe with them going there every other week. However, over the past 5 years that they've been married, Vanessa and my ex have fostered children in hopes to adopt. They fostered a baby girl for 3 years from the time she came home to the hospital, and she ended up reunited with her family. It was extremely hard on the kids, as well as my ex and Vanessa. Immediately after they began fostering another kid 5 years old and were supposed to adopt him, right before Christmas he was reunited with his biological father that they originally had no information on. This has been incredibly hard for the kids. They're devastated and started going to therapy after their first foster sister was removed from the home. Recently, my older two came to me and said that they cannot take another loss. They keep getting very attached to these foster siblings only to have them ripped away. It's not the fault of their dad or stepmom, and it's also amazing that these kids get to stay with their biological family, the goal of foster care. But it doesn't change how hard it is on them. They told me that their dad and stepmom have been talking about taking on a new placement in the new year and have said that they won't live with their father if they do so. They had tried talking to him, but all they had gotten was, "It's the reality of foster care." I went to my ex and Vanessa to talk about this. They kept saying that this is the reality of foster care, that it hurts them too, but they feel like they're at least offering a loving and safe home to these kids. I asked, what about the kids that they already have? My ex-husband's argument is that they'll be off to college soon. I asked, why can't they at least wait for the older two to leave the home? And they asked, what if Vanessa got pregnant? Would they control that? I argued that'd be different. That's not a sibling they'd risk losing. I ultimately said what the kids did. If they continued to foster, our elder kids would choose to not come around as much and I'd support them in court. If our youngest wanted to keep up the custody agreement, that's fine, but I'd keep them in therapy. My ex called me and said Vanessa has been sobbing all weekend after my threat. He says it's not fair to ask this of them and make them decide. I told him it's up to him to decide what he could live with. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I thought it was clear, but my ex and his wife have them every other week. We alternate holidays and such. Edit 2. Many people keep asking if my kids understand what fostering means. They do. They understand the logistics of fostering. That doesn't mean they can help their emotions. Their therapist has said they're traumatized by these events. Edit 3. Potentially the final update. I did reach out to my ex and his wife. I apologized for telling them that they shouldn't foster again, as this part is none of my business. I did share that I feel it might be beneficial for the two of them and the kids to see a family therapist or mediator so all sides can be heard. They actually agreed that's a good idea and are going to find a different therapist just so there's no bias, which I support. What happens from this point is beyond my control and business. I'm hopeful that my children can continue to have a strong and healthy relationship with their father and stepmother. To those that said my kids should naturally be stronger and doubted their trauma, I sincerely hope you do more research and learn that needing therapy doesn't make you weak or spoiled. It helps with coping strategies and gives a safe place to talk about their feelings. To those that accused me of being jealous or bitter, no, I'm remarried with another kid. I'm happy for them and wish them nothing but happiness and peace in the future. Not the a-hole. Firstly, they should not be going into fostering with the sole intention of adopting, unless they're specifically taking in only children who have already had the goal of their case changed to adoption, which doesn't seem to be the case here. The goal of foster care is always first and foremost reunification. Adoption should only become the goal when absolutely necessary. They are going to struggle to be good advocates for those children when their goal is to take the child away from their family. I also assume their skewed goal is impacting what they're telling your children and leading to your children taking the reunification much harder. Secondly, wanting to help kids in need should not and cannot come at the deficit of the well-being of their existing children. You are right to stand up for your children. Not the a-hole. All the "you're the a-hole" responses surprised me. These kids are hurting and you're doing all you can. Fostering is so difficult emotionally and a lot of people can't handle it. Honestly, I wouldn't even say you threatened your ex. You just told him the reality of the situation. Your kids can't stay there if they foster another child because they can't handle it emotionally. You didn't tell your kids that they wouldn't be allowed to stay there. Your kids decided that. And honestly, it seems like that's what would be best for them. I think you're an amazing mother for being there for them and not forcing them to go through this hurt again if they decide they can't. This is a hard situation for everyone involved, and I hope your kids are able to heal. Not the a-hole. It's not your children who don't understand the reality of fostering. It's your ex and Vanessa. I was the biological child in an emergency foster family and was there as dozens of children came in and then out of my home. And yes, I was upset every time they left, but not heartbroken because I had been prepared. I had been taught that the point of fostering these children was that one day they got to go back to their mommies and daddies. We did end up adopting 4 of the children and it was wonderful. But like I said, almost 100 kids came into this home that also left. That is the reality of foster care. It is all on your ex and Vanessa that they went into this with an adoption mindset and put the permanency mindset onto your children as well. Just keep standing up for your babies, mama. Next story. So I, 21 male, have received news that my sister, 26 female, is 6 months pregnant through IVF with triplets. She said she felt it was safe to announce it at the time. I'm so happy and excited to be an uncle, and I know that my sister and sister-in-law will be great parents. Right after that, my mom asked sis and sister-in-law if she could post it on my mom's family group chat, which is about my mom's side until her parents. So my grandparents, they agreed. Mom posts it and everyone is happy to find out about the pregnancy until my cousin texts the cousin group chat. Well, my cousin's text comes into the cousin group chat and she is calling sis and sister-in-law every name in the book for having a baby before her. She also insults myself and every other cousin for being happy about sister's pregnancy. The only other cousins here are 15 female and 14 female. Insensitive little craps that favor sis over her happiness. I asked why she called us cousins insensitive little craps. Honestly, I don't care if she called me that, but our younger cousins are literal teens. They don't deserve that, and my sister is super emotional and sick because being pregnant with triplets is a lot. She said my sister always got firsts, and she wanted to be the first for once. I asked, why was there a need for competition? She redirects to saying, it's almost been a year since she last miscarried, and to see sister pregnant was depressing. My cousin E, 26 female, has been trying to have a baby for 3 years with her fiance female, male 30. She has had 2 early miscarriages and 1 midterm miscarriage. I only found out about the miscarriages after I asked my mom why E was so mad. None of the cousins knew about the miscarriages. We only knew they were trying since they got engaged. She proceeds to say that my sis and sister-in-law would be horrible mothers since the poor kids wouldn't have a father figure in their life. I went full on rage and said that I was happy she was infertile so that people like her wouldn't increase and infest the world we live in. She blocks me and kicks me out of the group chat. I get a phone call from my aunt screaming at me for being a crappy cousin and calling me the a-hole for what I said to E. Thinking about it, my sister said she was happy I defended her. Cousins and their parents, my mom's other sister and her husband, and my parents are on my side and see that what she did was mean, but my aunt and uncle, as well as cousin, are blowing up my phone and demand for me to apologize. I need unbiased insight, so I know if I need to apologize or not. Many thanks in advance. Everyone sucks here. Your cousin said some insanely vile, disgusting, hurtful things. There is no justifying what she did, and you absolutely should not apologize till she does. However, infertility is very draining and saddening. It's very insensitive, and I don't believe you should bring someone's fertility into conversation ever. You're not the a-hole. You were a little harsh, but you weren't wrong. Your cousin E is a giant a-hole. Despite her tragedies, she has no right to expect anyone else to put their families on hold because of her difficulties. I'm sure everyone shares her grief, or they would if she told them, I suppose. But she is upset about her cousin's happiness too, especially the point of cussing people out and going full homophobe makes her definitely the a-hole.